All right, we're live.
We Gotta Believe episode 128 is coming at you, and it's coming at you presented by Coors Light, the beer that is made to chill. Everyone, we've been saying it for weeks, months, probably about a year now. Everyone just needs to chill out. We have Uncle Stevie in charge at the top of the org chart. Everything is going to be fine. However, it's going to take a lot of work for everything to be fine. But along the way, all you got to do is drink your Coors Light. Why? Because Coors Light is literally the beer that's made to chill. It's cold lagered, cold filtered, and cold packaged. It is as crisp and refreshing as the Colorado Rockies, perfect for a moment to unwind. So whenever you want to crack open a Coors Light, you wait for those mountains are nice and cold. That's the thing. You can get your Coors Light. You get it. It's piping hot from the store. Piping hot's a little extreme, but it's warm. It's room temperature. It's lukewarm from the store. You have to put those beers in the refrigerator, let them sit for a few hours, and then once the mountains are blue, they're ready. You pop it open and you drink it. That's just like this Mets franchise under Uncle Stevie. He comes in. He has to clean out all the mess of the Wilpons, get rid of all the crap, all the morons that have been working there, all the nonsense, and then he's going to build it back up just like he built his billion-dollar franchise, his entity, his SAC. I don't know which is it. Sac Capital, is that where he is now, or is that the old one?
That's the old one. That's the one he had to shed. Now he's 0.72.
0.72. That's what it is. Okay, 0.72. Couple SEC trips with the SEC along the way. No worries about that. Don't worry. And all you have to just be patient, just chill out. And that's why Coors Light is the one I choose when I need to unwind. So when you want to hit reset, reach for the beer that's made to chill. Get Coors Light in the new look delivered straight to your door with Drizzly or Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/believe. Again, that's CoorsLight.com/believe. You get your beers, you get them, you have your finish up the rest of your leftovers, and then you just we hit the reset on this franchise, and now we are currently in refrigeration mode, and the mountains are starting to turn blue on the Mets franchise because we're starting to get actual people in here who aren't a bunch of donkeys from the Wilpons. So once you're ready, we're going to be popping these bottles, and when we're popping these bottles, you have to celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. I think I just had a stroke at the end there because I couldn't say those words together. But I'm excited, Kyle. Why am I excited? Because we have an emergency episode right now. It's me and Kyle. KFC was going to call in from the phone like he did last time, which is kind of reckless. However, for some reason, he cannot connect. So Kyle's with me. Kyle's about 5% left on his laptop battery. So we're going to see how long that goes on for. But then he's going to come back on the phone. But we have an emergency episode. We're all home for Thanksgiving break. We all were sleeping when the news went down. Billy Epler. We're in Epler mode. Anyone watching on YouTube can see. We have the sunglasses on. Epler mode. Black Friday Billy is what they call him. He goes out. First, he gets Eduardo Escobar for a 2-year deal. Then he gets Mark Canha on. I was like, wait, his name isn't Matt. Mark Canha on for a 3-year deal? It's a
option for 3. 2 with option for 3.
Yep, $26.5 million. And then I go to bed. I'm like, all right, maybe I'm like, this is borderline, podcast material. All of a sudden, over the top, Starling Marte, 4-year, $78 million deal. We finally get an actual center fielder to patrol the Mets outfield, and boom, Uncle Stevie comes. Uncle Stevie fucking slams the goddamn checkbook on the table and shuts all the goddamn losers up. We have ourselves a ball club, Kyle.
Anyone who was saying he wasn't going to spend this year, or they were waiting until after the collective bargaining agreement, I think the one person that we absolutely have to thank for this, and he might be the reason that we win a championship, is we were never going to win it with him anyway, is Steven Matz's agent.
Yes. Shout out to, what the hell is his name? I mean, I've already forgotten his name. I looked up a picture of him. He had like a goatee. He was like a little weasel and looky dude.
Yep.
Like Steven Matz was the chosen one. It's like somehow he's going to lead us to a World Series. It's like, but it's some like Shakespearean shit where it's like he's not the one on the mound or even on the 25-man roster. He's just the guy that like pushes the first domino over. He fucking gets Uncle Stevie upset. Uncle Stevie goes ether on fucking Twitter. And along with that came all the people. And listen, it's when I see like Yankee fans and Mets haters and stuff who are ripping this apart or, throwing their jokes out, that's one thing. But when I see my own brothers and sisters on Mets Twitter do it, that's when I'm like, guys, we are pot committed to this guy. Just because everyone else is dunking on him doesn't mean you have to too. So we had to go through that kind of thing, and I'm just taking artillery shells as an
1 year into his ownership.
Yeah, 1 year into his ownership.
That's the thing that I just think is lost on everyone. And like, yeah, Frank was calling him another Wilpon. Obviously, he does every single time he's on Twitter. He calls him another Wilpon. But like, what you're not understanding is he had the first year he had to play nice with everybody. He's the new richest owner in the game, and you're not going to drop your checkbook on the table first time out. Now, this next time through, I don't even think he was planning on doing it. I really do think that the Mats thing pissed him off to the point where he was just like, open up the floodgates, go get anybody that's on the market. And I don't think we're done yet. I think we're going to get some starting pitching today. We might have to run this back.
Yeah, no, so that's the thing is, so we have the CBA expires on the 2nd, right? So, and this is the thing is, I'm like terrified that we're going to make all these signings, and then by the end of the CBA, it's like, no, you probably should have waited because everything's going to change by then. But I'm not worrying about shit. Uncle Stevie sure as hell isn't worrying about shit. We're basically right at the luxury tax-ish right now because they added like 20-something mil, right, to the bill. Yep. We had. Obviously, Noah's gone. Conforto is about to be gone. And even if he wanted to come back, I don't think I think Canna's our outfielder. He's our right fielder. And that's the thing. We have a right fielder who can play right field. We have a center fielder who can play center field. And now Brandon Nimmo, who was better last year at center field after a year under his belt and actually got to like try to play the position, now moves to left. And we now have a legitimate big league outfield. What a fucking concept, huh? Crazy. And listen, we'll go through like I was saying this to Kyle before we went live. Marte, Canna, both played for the A's, at some points. If the A's have a guy, that means I like them. A's and Rays. Give me all the fuck. If the nerds like them, and granted, we're going to be paying for them after like the A's got them on the cheap, that's fine. If the nerds in those two organizations said those guys were good enough to make the starting 9 for those teams, I would like to have them my starting 9, even if I have to pay the New York tax on top of that. That's 100% fine. Our nerds are now working on getting the next Marte, the next Canna, the next whoever the fuck they are, and the next Wander Franco in the draft and all that kind of stuff. We're going to worry about that. And then Escobar, I'll be honest. Like, so these guys, I don't really know a lot of them. Canna is one of those guys in fantasy. I always would be like, oh, like he's getting hot right now. I'd always look at him, but he's not really a fantasy guy. On base percentage. Starling Marte, on base percentage. Had, I think, 7 less steals than our entire team last year, which is a preposterous stat to say out loud, but it's true. So we're going to have a guy that's moving and shaking on top of the lineup. Everyone gets to move down a bit. We have a guy that's going to produce runs, get on base. We don't have to worry about, like, Nimmo goes down, no one can get on base anymore. That's not going to be the case. And then Escobar.
Kind of gets hit by more pitches than Brandon Nimmo. Let that one sink in. We don't even need him to hit the ball. He could just stand there and take some plunks.
Yeah, and I'll be 100% fine with all that kind of stuff. And they're not like, they're not these star players, but they're not these star contracts. The way baseball works, it seems, is you want to get these Bryce Harpers or whatever. Your 10-year deals is what you're doing, and you're doing $30+ million a year. We have one of those playing shortstop for the foreseeable future. So. Yeah, that was just my long-winded rant. We were all sleeping when this all went down. The Black Friday shopping spree came to a close. He had to get it. Our guy Epler was like, this shit expires at midnight. I got to get the last, credit card swiped. He got it in, and that's all I can ask for. I am very happy. And more importantly, it shuts up the goddamn losers that said Steve Cohen is a Wilpon. And listen, there's been a lot of battling with the fans. Especially on this podcast, I hate it too. I hate when we're we're yelling at people. Kevin does it more than, but we were all guilty of it with the Lynn Dorks and whatever. I hate when this fan base is fractured, but I say this from the bottom of my soul. If you are one of the people that truly believes or has said that Steve Cohen is a Wilpon after what the Wilpons put us through basically the last decade, I don't want you to be a fan of the New York Mets. That's everyone else is fine. You can freak out. We've been abandoned and abused by these owners throughout the years. But if you truly think that Steve Cohen is the next Wilpon, I don't want you to be like rooting for the same team that I root for going forward, because you are just a broken brained fool. So those are my 2 cents on the entire matter. Kyle, how are we feeling right now? Oh, Kyle, I lost you.
Oh, no, you didn't.
Kyleception.
I think all the smaller pieces are going to come together. Oh, Jesus. I think all the smaller pieces are going to come together in like the bigger puzzle of what's going on. I think that the way he's going about building the structure, Billy Epler is this guy who's like been known in the past, right, for like going in for the big splash that doesn't pan out, or signing us into like a long-term deal where there's just nothing but tied up money for the next like 8 years that we're gonna have to pay. This isn't like Brody Van Wagenen saddling us with Cano for the next 4 years after he's past his prime and already busted twice for steroids. So I think we do need. Honestly, starting pitching is like the biggest problem out of everything. That is my biggest problem with everything is that we need to be able to get through these games. We need to make sure that DeGrom is healthy, and we need to fill in a 2 and 3 spot. So all these moves are just going to solidify the offense, which was our biggest problem last year. But our biggest problem this year is going to be starting pitching. So he's still got some moves to make, still got some money to work with, but I'm happy with the guys we got. Don't get me wrong. I just don't think that that's our biggest concern before the season starts.
Well, when Noah left, Stroman is still outstanding, and I mean, like the DeGrom thing. Like, I'm just going to imagine that Jacob DeGrom is 100% healthy by that time, because it's like if you tell me that is his health is an issue, then we're starting like 30 paces behind everyone in the rest of the race right now. So I'm just going to say DeGrom at 1, Carrasco. Good Cookie Carrasco at 2, at worst 3, and then we have a bunch of fodder at the back end of the rotation with McGill and Peterson, Taijuan Walker. You hope you get the first half guy instead of the second half guy. But yeah, there's at least 2 spots to fill. John Gray, Gaussman, Schertzer. So they're all in the mix, and then we have to also call out Marcus Stroman. On Twitter, he was like, I'd love to be back on the squad next year. I've proven that I can pitch in New York. Others usually crumble under that New York pressure. However, I know a source who says the front office, rather the other pitchers on the market, I'm going to dominate wherever I end up. And he just kind of gave like the shrug sign, the shrug emoji.
Yeah.
And I think Stroman's still in the mix. I don't think the Mets are like, we're done with him at all, but it's by the sound of that, he's not number 1 or 2 on their list. And I mean, I'm fine with Stroh. If he comes, great. If he leaves, that's fine too, as long as one of those other names that we mentioned, or there's someone maybe on the trade market, because we have a lot of guys that are going to have to be moved now since we just filled up a couple big holes on the team, can be filled. So I'm with you 100%.
You need Walker to come back and be the first half Walker. If he's anywhere near the second half Walker that we get, we're in big trouble, because I think that they're probably penciling him in to be the 3 guy. Whereas last year we saw him as the back end of the rotation. I don't think Carrasco's a 2. They signed Carrasco to be a 2 last year. He's injury prone, and even when he is pitching, his starts were like difficult to dissect because he was so bad in the first inning that it automatically just made you look at him as a bad pitcher, and then he would settle in for the rest of the game. Granted, not in the beginning, but like as time went on, his numbers started to come down. But he was getting crushed so early on that it looked worse than it was. I don't think Stroman comes back. I think Stroman gets the biggest contract he can get, and more power to him. Like, he pitched great last year, and he's the best pitcher on the market. Everyone's talking about Gray and everybody else, but like Stroman's 31 or going to be 31 when the season starts. He's in the prime of his career. I don't think that it's necessary for us to like sign him until he's 36.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think Gaussman and Gray might offer just like an easier stopgap until we figure out what this whole pitching situation is going to be.
I'm with you 100%. Again, and you could say like a guy that came through and has pitched in New York, that does mean something, because you always get worried about these guys, especially like, all right, first year, kind of what we talked about with fucking Lindor every other week last season, right? It was like the new market and blah, blah, blah. I hate to have to go through that every 5 nights with another pitcher or 2. But at the same point, like,
no starting pitching.
Yeah, and
like, I pain in the ass to watch those games because they take forever. But like, strong enough bullpen. I'm pissed that we didn't get Luke back. That's pretty much my my only upset thing that we've done so far out of everything in terms of signing people, losing people. Luke's the only one where I was like, he would have been a nice addition to bring back. He would have been like our this generation's Pedro Feliciano, RIP, in my mind.
Yeah. And the thing about Loop is that's the epitome of buying high in a guy, and I wanted him back, but I'm not gonna like cry about Aaron Loop leaving, because if you tell me next year or the year after that he just completely, implodes or just regresses to what he was before the last 2 seasons, then it's like, all right. But yeah, RIP and peace, fucking Pedro Feliciano too, man. That was out of the fucking blue. That sucked. But like Aaron Luke was basically that dude. Is like when Pedro came here, like, all right, he'll put the fire out right here. We got a big lefty bat or something like that. And the fact that they didn't use him more for like even the righties in the lineup, that's when a lefty reliever is special, is when you're asking why they're not bringing him in for like the big boppers from the right side of the plate. Yeah. And the fact that it was the Angels too, after they snaked us with Syndergaard, that's what really made it hurt. But it's like, yeah, the bullpen's going to have to get, cleaned up as well. And I do think that a couple of these holes in the roster will probably be filled by, we're going to move somebody. I don't know if it's going to be JD. I don't know if it's going to be Dom. I don't know if it's going to be McNeil. I think there's probably a lot of balls that are up in the air right now. But between, I'd say 2 rotation spots, a few spots in the bullpen. Because, let's see. Let's go through it again. Familia's gone. Betances is gone, even though you don't remember he was even here to begin with. Loop is gone. And then is there one more guy that hit free agency? We have Diaz still. We have I think May still for one more year, right?
Yep. We have Lugo.
We have Lugo, the Puerto Rican. Shout out him. And I think Lugo's going to bounce back. So there's definitely some pieces. Big lefty arm. I know Rogers was one of the guys that. What was that?
I think Castro.
Oh, Castro. That's right. We have Castro too. Yep. So we're going to have to get one big lefty reliever, whether it's Rogers or someone else coming in to go along with, a couple other spots. But again, that was Brody traded away a lot of the guys that would have been coming into those roles, but those roles can be filled by, your Drew Smiths or something like that. You can get those young arms that have power, especially these days. Everyone's throwing fucking 99 coming out of the pen. Right. So I think we're going to be all right.
I do think you're right though. They're going to have to move one of the bigger guys in our mind that we were considering core. I think JD's gone. I think his time here's done. I think that they can get more for him than the other 2, which is like insane to say. But like McNeil's positionless. Dom Smith had the worst career year, but we have the DH coming back, so it's like extra position for one of these guys. And like as weird as it is, JD probably fits that role better than the other 2, but JD has our most upside for trade. I don't know. I think that McNeil might be. It's all going to depend on the Baez news. We're pursuing him so heavily, and this is going to be a rude awakening. I want Baez. I want him to come back, but we're not getting the Baez that we saw for 2.5 months. We're getting the Baez for his whole career. He's going to be a big strikeout guy. He's not going to make as much contact. But hey, if he hits 38 home runs, I could live with that. Him and Alonso in the middle of the lineup and Lindor, I could live with that. But it's just going to be. Don't have this with rose-colored glasses that we have to pay him and we need to get him for the big bucks, because Bryant's still out there too.
And that's the interesting thing. So Escobar can play second, he can play third. So I think that kind of gives you a little bit of flexibility what goes on here. It feels like he's almost almost a better version of what the Villar was. And listen, I don't want to speak ill on Jonathan Villar, but it feels like he's much more likely to start the season. I don't think Villar was supposed to be a starter off the bat. It's just Mets. And he was like, all right, I guess I'm playing every day now. And then you have Cano coming back. God damn it. But we have to call it what it is. And McNeil can play second. I don't think they're even going to bother playing him at third, but I also, based on the whole raccoon incident, I don't think they want him playing second. That's the Francisco Lindor either, unless he's going to actually start listening to the fucking coaches and stuff like that. But you're also with Baez. Baez is clearly the premier option at second base, the best case scenario for us. However, you're going after him to play second for you. All the other teams are looking to pay him as a shortstop. So that's going to then be an issue, right? And Uncle Stevie's has the wallet open, but at some point you can't just be paying shortstop money to a second base. It just doesn't. Right. It doesn't really make sense like that. So I hope to God he doesn't leave us because of that, but we have to see.
Yeah, Frazier just got traded from the Padres. Did you see that?
Yeah. Yep.
So if he's moving around and that's the market for our second baseman, it's Baez is definitely the ceiling if he's not playing shortstop.
Yep, exactly, and that's exactly. And for all the shit which drives us crazy, he's gonna be swinging at balls that bounce off the pitcher's mound again, and doing stuff like him and VR on the base pass were an absolute VR. They could do the greatest thing you've ever seen or the worst thing, and you had no idea which one was coming. But at the same point, like teams are going to pay for kind of the ceiling guy because he did have that September that he basically was from the trade deadline on. So it's tough. And I'd love to get it done before the second, right? You want to just know where we stand, whether he signs with us or somewhere else. I just love to know because he's kind of him. And then I think Brian on a lesser extent is out there for us. But I think Baez, I think there's just between the Lindor relationship, the fact he was here already, the fact I think Cohen likes him. I think that is the more likely guy to come here without Boris as his agent as well than signing a Boris guy like Chris Bryant to play third, and he can play the outfield and stuff like that. But if the Giants, it's kind of like with the A's and the Rays. If the Giants aren't like, we want to make this guy a Giant for life, I'm like, there's something up here, right?
Right. I think that if Baez signs, it is absolutely sending McNeil out of town. And if you turn that around and get like 2 or 3 like good pieces, that might be the strongest team you can put together, though. Like if we can go get some relievers or like some lower end starter who could be like a 6 swing guy, like whatever it is, like that completely solidifies the defense because then you have Baez and Lindor up the middle. Our outfield is finally not in shambles. How long, Clem, have we been asking just to be like solid through the middle of the field? Like the last time we were solid through the middle of the field, Jose Reyes was playing shortstop and Carlos Beltran was playing center field.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, and that's it. Like McCann, for as fucking like as much of a nightmare as it was, he can call a good game. You get like that electric fucking the Puerto Rican team middle infield right up the middle who are electric and are just like good fucking solid players, but can also make like the highlight plays. And then you have Marte in center. It's a goddamn dream come true. This is, like you said, this is all I've been asking for. Like they don't throw whoever like has a bat but doesn't have a glove in left field like they've been doing since Todd goddamn Hundley in like 97 when Piazza came here. You actually have an actual like defense that makes sense. These guys get on base too. I saw someone said like it might be like the highest on base percentage outfield in the league. It's a legit, and that's the thing. It's like it's not the flashy signings, but it's the signings that when another team makes them, you're like shit. That's gonna be gonna be good.
It's Cardinals type behavior. Like that was like what was the team this year where we were like none of these guys are any good. How do they keep winning? Like what team was that? Why can't I think of it?
The Braves? That's what it felt like. It was the same kind of shit, right? I mean, the Adam Duvall, where it's like these fucking assholes just keep winning. I don't know how they're doing it. But again, like there is still room in the budget. There's going to have to be room in the budget to get pitching. And you have the draft picks from, Syndergaard and the Rocker non-signing last year. If Conforto goes somewhere, we get a draft pick for him. So you do have picks to build the system. You have guys who are going to come up like Joe DeMayo had us. Like I didn't even think of that with Batty and Vientos, that third base with Escobar, who could then slide around the infield. Yep. That makes it perfect to then transition those guys up. If you don't move them, those are more guys that can be moved as well. And I don't think we're going to sell the Alvarez's, the Mauricios, the kind of guys with the super high ceilings. It's fucking time to get excited, Mets fans. First of all, all right, listen, you don't want to get excited because it's basically you don't know what's going to happen. We know what's going to happen tomorrow. The fucking lockout's coming, right? You don't want to get excited. That's fine. But just stop bitching. I think we can all. That's why I got excited when I saw this news. I was like, all right, like this could be a good team. Most importantly, I don't have to hear the bitching. Every time Steve Cohen tweets, I don't have everyone jumping off a cliff. Like our own people that I thought are on our side are like the people that are saying Frank was right. Those are Yankee fans. Those are Mets trolls. Those are fucking morons. Those are the people saying that. It's we are looking for just the rational Mets fan who has been through hell and back, but just is like, all right, we're going to be okay. We know it can get worse. That's all we've lived through the last X amount of years. It can get worse. From here on forward, it's going to get better. And this was a sign. Uncle Stevie wasn't giving us fucking lip service when he's like, spend your money. And look, Epler, if Epler was signing just the top of the market guys like he did when he was in Anaheim, I'd be concerned. But these feel like smarter moves here, right? It's not, just getting the Upton who's at the top of the class, or you're getting your Rendon. You're just doing the Madden, sort by overall, and just keep fucking throwing money at the guy until he says yes. That's what gets me the most excited. And our guy, Michael Stoll here, I loved it too. Love Uncle Stevie, love Cousin Billy. I love it. Cousin Billy, Billy Epler, fucking Billy with the fucking shades on, just showing up. We need to get Shady Rays on here to start sponsoring some stuff, because I'm going to be wearing shades. The future's so bright, Billy Epler has to wear shades. That's how you can get excited for this fucking team right now.
It's like I think that we have to throw out the entire resume of what he did in Anaheim. Because did you hear the report about their owner there who was like, I don't care whether or not we win or lose, but we just need to make the biggest splash, the biggest signing every single year. And he's like, well, that's just gonna totally fuck the payroll and the luxury tax, and we're not gonna be competitive. He's like, I don't care, I just want this. He wants that one shiny new thing every single time. Meanwhile, you have nothing else. You have a Ferrari, but you have no gas to drive it anywhere. Whereas when he was with the Yankees, this was a dude who was known for being smart and putting the pieces of the puzzle together. And then he basically got blackballed. That's why him and Stevie have this huge chip on their shoulder. Yeah. And then next thing you know, Stevie's letting him run wild. He's probably doing some shady shit. And he's trying to get to that 5-year goal that he set for himself, because now he's already a year in. And he's like, well, we're going to have to fast track this. Let's get a guy who we know can go and is willing to make a name for himself. And you always want the guy with their back against the wall. That's the whole Met mentality to begin with. And that's what Met fans, I feel lost over the last year, because they thought it was just going to be this cakewalk. They're like the homeless guy who you give change to, and he's like, I don't want any pennies. And it's well, you need the pennies to add up to the dollar drink for. I don't know. That's how you get the champagne.
Just because you can afford the fucking filet mignon dinners doesn't mean Mickey D's. I took my daughter to Mickey D's this morning. That breakfast still fucking hits like it did when I was a kid. I'll tell you, man, that shit is still good. And everyone was acting like it's just gonna be easy. This is fucking baseball, Susan. And the Dodgers still don't have a non-Mickey Mouse World Series, right? This shit is not easy to do, and they are the model franchise of all model franchises when it comes to getting talent and spending money. And they have one Corona series for it. That's all they have. So everyone just settle down, take it easy, take it chill. But hopefully this gives everyone everyone came themselves here. We get the post refractory, just peace of mind. We got a little bit of clarity. Maybe we get a pitcher or two, which would be awesome. I cannot wait to do that. And Stevie Max says it here. I want some hard-nosed, gritty motherfuckers that are ready to battle. That's what I want right now. I don't want these names. And Artie Moreno, it sounds like he's basically every big market shitty owner from a baseball movie, where he's I don't care about I don't care if it's a good thing or not. I just want the big name, but get as close to the luxury tax as you can get without going over it. And don't forget, Artie Moreno, enemy. He was one of Stevie Cohen's, enemies that didn't want him to buy the team. We say fuck Artie Moreno on this podcast. And if that's the reason we got Billy Epler, is because Artie Moreno is a meddling dickhead, even better. My goal as a fan, there's many things I want. The first thing, it's World Series. I want to win a World Series. That's number one. I want to shut up all the fucking haters and losers, of which there are many. But I want every executive that turned down even an interview with Uncle Stevie to look at themselves in the mirror and say, I can't believe I turned down that fucking job because of whatever blackball was going on, whatever their bosses told them in terms of don't do it. I want all those fucking baseball nerds to be I can't believe I turned down a job in New York for a big market team. Yeah, exactly. To be the number 5 in Minnesota for the rest of my life. I want them all to fucking look, and when they're driving to work in their Toyota Camrys, and listen, I am a Toyota owner. I have my CN in the driveway. But if I want them to be I could be rolling up in a fucking, I wouldn't be driving my Rolls Royce. I'd have a driver drive my Rolls Royce. You'll be the first one with a flying car in the New York area. Once Uncle Stevie gets his, you're number 2 to get your flying car in the metropolitan area. And instead, I'm in bumblefuck fucking Wisconsin. No offense to the 17 people in Milwaukee Brewers organization that turned us down. But I want all of them to look themselves in the mirror and be I can't believe I let this opportunity go through my fingers for God knows what reason. I don't know. Again, there was some shit going on there.
William H. Macy in Fargo, trying to get the ice off of the car every time he's trying to get out. God damn it, why am I still in this city? Right.
Uncle
Go watch
Stevie.
the parade on your out there.
Uncle Stevie hasn't had to get ice off his windows in fucking
Oh.
like 30 years, man. That shit is heated glass. It's not even like the defroster. That shit don't even the snow don't even stick on Uncle Stevie's car. He has some fucking future alien technology and that shit. That's the kind of guy we want running our franchise. And it ain't some Artie Moreno. It's like eating carbs, right? Like Artie Moreno's thing. It's like, just give me the good stuff. I don't care if it spikes my fucking blood sugar and then I'm hungry again in an hour. Uncle Stevie is building some sustainable shit. It's like the Chipotle commercial without the fucking runs or like the people dying in it in the middle of the Thanksgiving game that makes you feel like shit. It just is fucking, it's sustainable. It's building up. It's the good shit. That's what we're building this team on. And it's not like flashy or fun, but goddamn, like it's exciting. Like I'm excited about the future. And like, honestly, if someone just joined Twitter today and didn't know anything about like a beat writer's history or a baseball reporter's history, they'd be like, John Heyman is a Mets guy. It's just us. Yeah. John Heyman is just giving you daily, minutely updates on the Mets. It's like, all right, they're going after, they signed Escobar, they signed Canna, they signed Marte, they're in on Scherzer, they're in on Gray, they're in on Gaussman. And it's like, it's like you think they've turned John Heyman into Anthony DiComo, where he's just giving us minutely updates on the Mets. And I'll tell you, Kyle, it's fucking everything I wanted it to be with Uncle Stevie as our owner.
It's how we thought it was always going to be, that we were finally going to be. We were always the back page of the story, but it was never for anything good. Now it's going to, every time you turn the page, it's going to be like, I cannot believe the Mets are putting this thing together, and I can't believe they're building it in a way. And by the way, this is the tip of the iceberg, because the whole point of all of this was to be able to get a little bit of runway so that all the young guys can come up. Like when Beatty's here, when Mauricio, when we have Lee, who's not strike out 5 times a game, who's on his way. Like when all these guys start popping, and then we have the homegrown guys plus Uncle Stevie's money to go get the big free agents when we need them. That's when it all comes to fruition. Like I think we're going to be competitive right off the bat now. I think that this lineup's going to be like top to bottom. In a perfect world, when we hit home runs with people on base, we're going to be very scary. It's a matter of, will they hit home runs with runners in scoring position? Will they get the timely hit? But you can't turn around at any point this season, and you can book me on this. You cannot turn around at any point this season and say, well, they didn't build the team the right way. It's not balanced enough. Like now it is finally going to be balanced enough because they're going to go get people that get on base.
Exactly. And all you need to know is like just look at the lineup here. And this is from Buster only, Mr. fucking anti-Mets Buster, that goddamn Buster ass sucker. He tweeted out the possible Mets lineup, and I just saw he just retweeted it too. So Buster is all on the Mets dick now after just talking shit about us for fucking months. He possible Mets lineup: Marte in center, righty; Nimmo in right, which I thought Nimmo would be in left and Canna would be in right. Anyway, Nimmo lefty, Lindor switch hitter, shortstop, Pete righty first, Escobar switch hitter, McNeil lefty, Canna righty, Smith lefty, McCann righty, and then you have Cano, and then you can throw him in as a lefty at DH. You can throw in JD Double Davis as a righty at DH. So there are so many ways this lineup goes. And when Buster is tweeting like positive things about the Mets, he tweeted it, and I saw he retweeted Peter Gammons too. And Peter Gammon said, where is it? I pull it up here. Knowing how Don Mattingly, Bob Melvin, and Billy Bean feel about Starling Marte and Marcana makes me feel the Mets had a really good Black Friday. And when Buster, that fucking Hayden-ass motherfucker, is tweeting that, you know that the fucking Mets did something good today.
Yep.
So, I mean, if
infrastructure.
That's exactly it. We're building it from the bottom up. It was a goddamn process. And, I mean, it
wasn't, though. It was one season. Everyone made it out to be a goddamn process.
No. This is what I meant. The process, and I was going to say, let me clarify that. The process was like when you're just like hearing like 2 to 3 like people turning down even an interview. As a fan, it's like at some point, it's like just take the interview. I don't even care if you take the job, but like, why does nobody else want this job that we've been told is like going to be so good? And the fact that it somehow came together, we got fucking Billy Epler in his goddamn shades showing up to fucking meetings with agents. We already fucking lit a flame to the Steven Matz bridge. Fuck that shit. I honestly hope we like trade for Matz in like 2 years when he has like an 80 ERA and they just throw him to fucking Binghamton. And it's like, Stevie, go win the Rumble Ponies a goddamn championship.
Yeah.
And you and your grandpa, I'm going to ship your grandpa to Binghamton too. He's going to freeze his ass. Binghamton's probably not too cold in the summer, but nonetheless, it's not going to be as warm as it is down in Long Island. So, I mean, it's time to get excited. Like just reading all these, all the comments here in the chat, everyone is just so goddamn happy right now. Just
The boys are buzzing.
the boys are buzzing. The boys are buzzing. Uncle Stevie got him buzzing. If you get one pitcher in the market right now, who would it be?
Oh,
So we'll say Gray, Gaussman, Stroman. I don't know if I want to throw. I'll throw Scherzer in there. It would probably be a shorter deal, but it would probably be like more money up front. If you could get one of those four, now you're going to say Stroman's going to have there's going to be longer deals. Stroman's
Right.
not going to take a penny less either. Who would you want out of all those guys?
honestly, Scherzer, but it's not even for what you would think. Like, obviously, he's going to come in and be like as good as he always is. I don't even care about how old he is. Like, that doesn't really play that much into it. But I think they just need like that bulldog guy who's going to come in and ruffle feathers. Like, I don't even just be an asshole to everybody. Like, I hope nobody likes you, but you go out there and you win and you just like keep everybody on their toes. Because I think it's more of a chemistry thing in the clubhouse. Like, I don't want anyone to be friends. I want someone to come and be like the dickhead. I want someone to come in and like take it over and say like this is the right way to do things and this is how you win. I think that Scherzer's that guy, but I don't think he's going to come here. What about you?
No, I mean that. So Scherzer, like I think he has the most concerns for me, just because it's like you just get scared you're going to get the guy, and then his arm just blows up, right? But you are right. Like it's the guy. Like how many times we hear it's like you want a guy like a Ray Knight who's going to be like fuck you, but this guy is also like a Keith, where he's better than Keith ever was, but he's like a fucking he's a fucking stud. He's a Hall of Famer, right? So, but I want him to scare people. Yeah, I want Max Scherzer to look in the eyes of like a familiar, whoever, be like, get these fucking outs, as he has his two different colored eyes and he's ready to like stare like that gif. I want to be able to tweet that gif where he's like, fuck this shit, fuck motherfucker. And he's just, that's the kind of stuff. Jake is the quiet guy. He's like, he just smiles and does his thing. But then you need to have the other side of that. The guy, the motherfucker, the Kurt Schilling. I don't want Kurt Schilling on the roster, but I want a guy who doesn't give a fuck and will shove it up your ass. So Scherzer, I guess, so we'll throw him out. Obviously, he's the leader in the clubhouse. Gray, Gaussman, or Stroman. Who would you want the most out of those three?
That's a good question. I think Gaussman just like figured it out. So
yeah,
I think you want a guy who's just like he's similar to like Corbin in my mind, where it's like Corbin didn't really have a ton of great seasons, and then like something just clicked, and so now he's gonna go on like this big run of like success, and I think that's what Gaussman like just did. Gray, I don't know because it's Colorado, so it's just like I don't know what that split is in that situation, and then Stroman. I just don't think he's I'm not going to pick Stroman because I just don't think he's coming back. So that's a pipe dream. I think Gaussman's probably going to be the guy.
Yeah, and the reports I saw is like there's years there is interest. I think he might want to stay out West Coast. Right? Was that potentially that was like the whispers going on? And again, when you go to the Giants, there's certain teams like the Astros just teach you how to cheat. But I think the Giants, like and the Cardinals, right? They just turn you into a better baseball player. They're like, all right, this is what we need to do to make you a better baseball player. So it'd be nice to get the Gaussman who goes from like the Orioles, who, they're kind of like us where they're just fucking up guys, to then go to the Giants. I feel like Gaussman will cost more money. I'll just say Gray, even though I'm probably with you on Gaussman. I have to say about Gray, the Colorado thing, I just love getting. I always, when we choose the BEC, I always love choosing the Rockies when they're away, because it's like, all right, these guys are going to like a normal ballpark again, and I know there's humidors and all this other shit, but it's not like it was in like Dante Bichette, Andres Galarraga era. But I like the idea. He was the third pick of the draft too, so it's like you're buying in on that talent of just and then you're kind of getting him like not quite like. Gaussman he's not as low. You're not buying as low as the Giants bought on Gaussman, but I do like having a guy you're buying a little low on who has the talent, and you take him out of that, you bring him into Citi Field, which is like, much different than Coors Field. Even though we love our Colorado Rockies, we love our Coors Lights. I want to have a guy here and have him drinking his his Blue Mountains a little closer to sea level. I kind of like fell in love with John Gray. I fell in love with him at the deadline when there was whispers about him and Story were potentially coming here. So I'll take Gray. Gausman, I mean, I think you're buying high on Gausman, but you may not be buying him at as good as he can pitch. He might just like keep just rising up in terms of like talent.
That's
right?
I just think that something's clicked. Like all of these guys all have like a very similar skill, talent level, and that's like across the entire league. Like when you make it to the pros, you're going to be good. It's just like for some of the guys, something clicks more than others, and that's where like the cream rises to the top. Because like Scherzer was great when he was with the Tigers, but he wasn't even the guy on the Tigers. It was Verlander, and then Verlander left, and then Scherzer became the guy, and it clicked. And like that's how it goes. That's just how it is with players. And I think that that's like you're catching him on the right trajectory coming up. But to your point, Gray is used to having to pitch in an area where he can't let a lot of fly balls out. So then you move him to Citi Field. The next thing you know, he's throwing up zeros all the time.
It's kind of like when you saw Stroman when we had no defense and then Stroman with a defense. It was like, oh, That's how you're supposed to like. And that's the thing is I have nothing but the utmost confidence in Epler, and all the other baseball nerds there are going to be like, these are the guys for us. They're going to put them in order. And Uncle Steve, you'll be like, what do you need to get these guys signed? And it will not be a problem. It will not be going from the outfields to then signing Jay Bruce as our guy. You know, it's like we are going to get guys that should be at a big league club as a free agent to fill a glaring need, a glaring hole. So I'll be fine with any of them. And if it's a trade instead, I know like Sonny Gray, it's another Gray out there. Like I know he was whispered to be available. And I do think I think one of these guys is getting traded. It might not be till after the lockout, but I do think we're, between Davis, McNeil, and Dom, one of them is as good as gone. But I think you could probably keep two of them just based on the talent. You're selling low on basically all of them at this point, because of course. But man, we really should have sold high on one of them. It would have been so much cooler right now, Kyle, if we just had someone else instead of those assholes.
I was so ready to ship JD out right away, but I obviously, I have a soft spot for Dom Smith. I swear. Get rid and he gets good again, I'll be so upset.
That's true. I forgot. So your guy is Dom. Kev's guy is JD Double Davis. And then I've always had a soft spot in my heart for McNeil. I got to hang out with him at the Barstool Classic for a little bit, and I've always loved McNeil, but I think one of us is going to be unhappy. I don't say unhappy, but I think one of us is losing our guys by the time it's all said and done. It's kind of funny how it all works out, where all three of them are just right there. And even though JD Double Davis, he's not like you're always attached to like your prospects, right? We've talked about this in the past. And he wasn't a Mets prospect, but it like feels like, because he like came of age here, and it was like, oh, he's fucking awesome. He's hitting the ball, and he's gone. He's fucking one of these guys is gone. There's nothing you really do about it. Like you put this in the outline for the pod, and you said they're not really going to focus on manager because they can handle that. This is the shit they can do, and then once there's a work stoppage, you just all right. Let's just focus on the manager. As they're still going to probably be computing their numbers and probably still just be talking agents, because who gives a fuck?
Right.
I don't really still have an opinion on it. I've heard from multiple people, Tigers and Angels fans. You do not want Brad Ausmus in your life. Just do not want Brad Ausmus in your life. So I've heard that. Buck, I guess I'd take Buck. I love part of me wants to like you said, like the chip on the shoulder front office. So it's like it's Cohen, it's Epler, it's Beltran, and fuck the world. It's us against the world. It's the NWO of baseball.
Have you? I haven't seen like his name resurfacing. Like, oh, he's interested and he would talk to Cohen if it would. It could be a good thing his name isn't out there, and that we're just like back channeling to see if he'll come back, and we don't want to make it like we're getting burned again. Where we're like, oh, we want Beltran, and then Beltran's like, well, I don't want to call him.
Yeah.
I was in the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air scene where it's like, why doesn't he want me?
Yeah, I just want a guy who will interview for the goddamn position.
Right.
That's number one, first and foremost. That's a fair point right there. The Beltran name, I'd say it's basically just been Mets fans floating it out on themselves and being like, they better hire him. And it's like, yeah, there's a chance he's just like,
he's like woodwork. It's like Edgardo Alfonso and Andy Chavez, who both got fired Cyclones after when they just like, hey, they know what they're doing. I think Buck is just the name, and people are like, oh, Buck, but he'd have to swallow a lot of pride to have to be able to like not set his own lineups. And like, there's a reason Joe Torre's out of the game. There's a reason that like, I was shocked that La Russa came back, but I don't know if La Russa's the one setting it, but like those older guys that are set in their ways and like how the game was to come back in and to then just be like handed a report and like, this is your job now. I don't know if that would mesh too well.
Yeah, no, it's a fair point. But the thing is, does Buck want to just get that World Series? You know, and he's like, hey, you know, and then that's going to be if he ends up being Epler's number one, or even if he just becomes the guy that becomes the leader in the clubhouse, if he's able to swallow that. Which I mean, that's your baseball like mortality there. Basically, it's like you're probably not going to get another. I mean, you could get another job, but you're probably not going to get another job with this much in place. Where you have a GM that likes you have an owner that'll spend, and you have a team that's like. Again, the Mets aren't going to be the favorites in the Barstool Sports app. If you go download now on barstoolsportsbook.com and get your Black Friday deals, let's make sure to throw that in the podcast. I know Portnoy always loves listening to his We Gotta Believe. 20% off everything still for the weekend. Yeah, that's Kyle. You should like him. Give him a raise. So, yeah, I guess the manager, that's a discussion for another time. I know, hopefully that's not our next emergency podcast. Hopefully our next emergency podcast is talking pitchers. But again, I think this trade, it's basically like my kids you hear running around upstairs. This was it. Like, you just got them their gifts just to shut them the fuck up. They got their little like Happy Meals. It may not be your filet mignon, but this shit is going to feel good. Everyone's going to be happy. No more whining from the fan base. Everyone's going to be like, all right, as of now, if the season started tomorrow, if they made the CBA and they're like, listen, the CBA, we agreed to it on December 2nd, but baseball must start on December 3rd. We have an actual team that can play. We do not have a full pitching staff yet, really, but other than that, we have a lineup 1 through 9 that is like a legitimate lineup. That's all you can ask for. And it's not just the same old names that have let us down every year for like the last 3 years. It's a bunch of new faces. It's guys who've gotten it done. It's guys who are kind of the evolution of baseball. It's the on-base percentage, guys who can play defense. And I mean, if that can get you excited, I don't fucking know what's wrong with you. You're a Mets fan. You're a Mets fan. Check your fucking ego at the door. God damn it. I feel like I can't believe I have to say this right now in the year 2021. Check your fucking ego at the door. Have some patience. And you got to believe.
Gotta believe.
Went 45 minutes on this, Kyle. We went 45 minutes on this.
Hold on. Can you
want me to leave studio?
End the broadcast?